This is the ultimate moment for every designer. And no matter how many designs we create, it's a moment we never forget. This is the moment where the vision has been cast, construction is complete, and what was once an idea is now a stunning reality. We invite you to come along on the journey from concept to keys. This is the reveal. Hi everyone, we are here in the Trio Design Studio today and I am so excited to show you Alexan Julian. This is my favorite part of the design process and I cannot wait to show you how we bring a project to life. So here's our initial color palette for Alexan Julian, and we are so excited to share with you all the different pieces and parts and components that go into these projects. We always start with sources of inspiration. For us, it usually is generated by people, places, or things. And this just happened to be one that we wanted to celebrate the rich history of Denver. And so we brought in a lot of elements that you would see in old architecture in downtown Denver into this project right outside the city. When we're given a project, we're usually given a project from core and shell. And so what we do is this is our opportunity to develop the story. This is our opportunity to take a blank canvas and bring it to life. And it's my favorite part of the entire design process. So for the Alexan Julian, we did just that. We brought in the rich Denver history through lots of different elements. A lot of it being wood and texture. Colorado is a very wood-driven market. A lot of metal detailing, and then of course, what would it be without the Denver brick that you're gonna see throughout the entire project? When we first take on a project, we always look for sources of inspiration. From there, we look at things like programming, circulation, scale of the project itself. And then we layer that with materiality, and that's exactly what you see here. All the different pieces and parts and materiality that we get to work with to bring this thing to life, to tell a story, to evoke emotion. So we have wood, we have metal, we have lots of different textiles, and all of this is going to come together in a beautifully written story. So now that you've seen all the incredible elements here in the design studio, let's go over to the project. So here we are at the Alexan Julian. Everything that we had just talked about in the design studio as far as all of the talent that it takes to execute on a project of this caliber, and here we are to see it today. So let's start out with the brick. This brick, as indicated in the design studio, we talked about how to pull in the old historic Denver history, and this is the perfect example of how we've integrated it into this project. As we move through the space, you can see the beautiful light fixtures. These were actually chosen by our design teams because they were replicants of old downtown Denver cylinders, and we wanted to capture that here right off the bat off the lobby. We also looked at the hospitality desk. Obviously, it was important to us that we had this 360 interaction and circulation around the desk, dual capabilities, and then we've given it dimension and paired it with this beautiful soapstone natural material, which is a huge complement to setting the foundation of what we're gonna see today. All right, my favorite part, come on in. I love this space specifically because the whole project was designed around the intention of the downtown Denver Square architecture. So we wanted to look at the spaces and we compartmentalized the spaces between leasing, transit, and hospitality lounge space. That was really important to us, and if you look at old downtown architecture, you can see how it's replicated here. In order to do that and create separation of space, we created this customized serpentine banquette, and I have to tell you, it's one of my absolutely favorite design details of all time. So not only did we give a curvature to the banquette so that it had flow and kinetic energy, we paired it with this beautiful red velvet fabric, which really is setting the tone and creating a lot of interest. But keep coming, I have so much more. When we looked at this space specifically, it was important that we found a way to ground it, and we did that through this incredible customized light fixture. And so this was a light fixture that was designed by our design team. What I love about it is the simplicity and the understated element, but how dramatic it is. So just by the pure scale of the fixture itself, we've created this incredible art piece. And we've done it so simply with just doing the black cylinder and then capping that off with a crystallized component. And it just creates movement and drama, and it's just one of my favorite features in this entire project. But keep coming. Look at this customized mural. It is making this entire space. What I love about it so much is that it captures all of the essence of Denver as they are as a community. It brings in the local community, it brings in the artists, it brings in the flair, but it also celebrates what's going on culturally, and that's the power of design. Design has so much power to create and evoke emotion, and that's what we're going for. So when you visit our spaces, you're gonna see that there's a lot of drama, there's a lot of layering, and there's a lot of storytelling going on. So when we look at our project specifically, it's very important to us that we activate the space and we celebrate community. So a lot of times in our seating areas, you'll see that they're all oriented to capture that activation. And a lot of times you're gonna see this in hospitality as well as multifamily, where the chairs are facing one another. There's multiple seating types, there's multiple seating with different scale, and that we're getting a lot of interest, but also functionality at the same time. So we always want to start out with the programming. Here we have 6 chairs that are all facing inward towards one another. Then we start with the materiality in terms of, let's pair the brick with some very interesting elements of leather, of Chanel, as well as velvet. And then we're going to top it all off what I call icing on the cake, which are the accessories, the jewelry, the art, the storytelling components that help really bring it all to life. So this is the perfect example. We've set the tone with the brick, we've combined it with this beautiful butter leather, and then we've had accessorized with some pieces that are very artfully, intentionally thought through. This lamp is the perfect example. I love that lamp for this very reason, because in of itself, it tells a story, and I love that too. So this chair specifically is one of my favorite pieces in the entire project, and this is a big project. Why? Because it reminds me of an old architectural chair that you would find in an old library, but it's contemporary and it's new and it's modern, and that's what this project evokes. On to my next favorite place, the bar. All right, everyone, here we are in the bar. I love this space. So if you remember, we had this amazing sense of arrival coming down the stairs and into these double doors into the bar area. Very Cheers-like, so everybody knows your name here, right? And we wanted to celebrate Denver's history again and continue to pull in that vibe. So right across the bar here, you'll see a customized banquette again. We use this beautiful blue fabric that helps anchor the space again, draws your eye into it, and this customized mural on the back wall. If you take a really close look, that is Denver's Union Station, one of the most historic buildings in all of Colorado. And what we wanted to do is put that image on the back wall, but create dimension. So then we custom designed these beautiful glass architectural windows in front of that, with the idea that, you know, we're looking into the future, but we're also celebrating that rich history, and how spectacular is that? When we look at the actual bar space that we have here, and in this room specifically, you'll notice that we've centered the bar in the center of the room. We've grounded it and anchored it with a beautiful pattern tile, and then this architectural metal detail to help define that space. You want to know a little secret? All of this was designed not only to anchor this space and then to have all of the activation and flow and design details around it, but look at this structural column that we're getting hidden inside this bar, which is fantastic. We love that. We paired it with a beautiful quartz countertop. Again, we wanted to see some of the simplicity and understated design elements paired with some of the details, porcelain tiles that give us movement and flow. So you'll see this tile here gives us a little bit of that wavy effect, and we've paired it with the pattern tile on the floor to ground the entire space. Okay, you guys, look at this tile work. One of my favorite things is tile work, lighting, and artwork. Let's start with tile. This is such an amazing tile, not only for the pattern, but look at the finish on the tile. It gives you that vintage look, which is exactly what we were going for to ground the space so that we could capture that Denver history in a vintage, authentic way, but then pull it into the 21st century. Love this. And what would be a space without lighting? Look at this incredible lighting, these fixtures. Again, the repetition and the simplicity of the lighting going around the space creates this whole entity as one cohesive design detail, which is something that we really strive for. So I love this ceiling detail. That is actually wallpaper. It's commercially rated wallpaper, and what we have done is we have, again, defined the space of a center bar by putting the wallpaper on the ceiling and creating a transition with that architectural metal detail. So we just love it, but we're not done yet. We have so many more details to look at. So come around here. We've incorporated the brick again because this wouldn't be a space without pulling that brick into place with the beautiful hardwood floors. All right, you guys, this is one of my favorite spaces in the entire bar because they're built-in booth seats. So the incredible part about this is 100% customized, right? And so we have this beautiful walnut top. We have made it moody and cave-like with this beautiful trim, darker trim detail. We have comfortable seating on either side with this beautiful customized channel back. And then we've anchored it with a beautiful light fixtures. And we've continued that with 3 different booths for different types of seating throughout the space. One of the things that's so amazing about this bar area is not only do we have a very good sized bar with seating all around it, each of the areas that have been compartmentalized around the bar for a complete 360 has been customized with design details for very comfortable seating. So one of the things that we love to do as a firm is we love to create art installations through lighting. It helps us to define spaces, create interest through having artwork and very artfully intentioned details to our spaces. And so you'll see here, we have done a repetition of those art installations to help anchor both of the hospitality spaces. So one thing that we love to do as a design firm is no detail is too small. So you will see subtle hints of details throughout in our entire space repeated over and over and over again. So let me give you an example. This chair has a lot of architectural interest to it. Look at the beautiful lines in the metal work and how that gets repeated in our tile over here. I mean, it's such a different way of looking at things, and when you start to notice those little design details, you'll notice them over and over and over again. That's what makes the space. So this space specifically goes back to that Denver history. We started with the custom mural behind it, and then we layered it with this customized banquette seating. I love this. So again, when we look at customized furniture pieces, we look at every single design detail. This happened to have a tufting detail, and we paired it with this beautiful royal blue. Throughout the entire space, you can feel that we have a natural, neutralized color palette, very dramatic and very deep and intense, and then we pop it with colors of red or blue or so forth. For this project specifically, because it was so inspired by Denver specifically, we wanted to add those pops of colors and make it very dramatic. Okay guys, so more detail for you. This trim detail, look at how simplified this is, but how warm it makes the space. I love this trim detail for that very reason. Again, it's creating a sense of arrival, but it's also capping off this entire space, and it's such a simplified detail. Beautiful wood veneer in the back, and then to add a little bit of dimension, we just added a little projection of a trim detail and then stained it all one color to create dimension. So now that we've seen the bar, let's hit the fitness and yoga studio. So as we move into this space, something I want you guys to take notice is look at the layering effect that we get through this corridor, because this is what's creating interest down to our fitness studio. Beautiful customized wall covering, and then we've layered it with large scale artwork all the way down through the space. Now what you'll notice, this is a designer secret, is this is pulling your eye all the way through the space to what will be your destination. All right, so here we are in the yoga studio. This is such a cool space. This is where all the work gets done, right? But where people usually fall short on design details, but not us. We have encased the entire room with this beautiful custom wall covering again, and made sure that all of the functional elements have access and visibility to the outside. We've simplified the space, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't have every design detail that we need to carry the space off effectively. So we have opened up the space with a ton of natural light coming in, paired it with durable, commercially rated laminate floor for exercise, and then we've custom designed these large-scale mirror pieces for that perfect workout. All right, everyone, that was our yoga studio. Now, after a hard day's work, let's go outside to the pool. All right, here we are at the outdoor pool at the Alexan Julian, where all the action happens. We love this space specifically because it has such a connection to the indoor, to the outdoor. We've pulled that beautiful blue color out onto the chaise lounges, and it makes such the perfect space for socialization. Okay guys, here we are on the rooftop deck. One of my favorite spaces of the whole property. And again, you'll see why this whole property was inspired by Denver. Look at this view. It's so incredible. The reason why we chose granite here is because it's a very durable material and it gave us a neutral color palette to work with, so all of the furniture popped off the space. Love this chair, one of my favorite counter stools of all time. I love it. It gives us dimension, architectural interest. I love the different materiality between the wood and the rope. It has a sense of outdoor living, and that's exactly what we're going for. So because we love those chairs so much, we actually repeated it on the dining room chairs as well. And we wanted to pop that off of this very durable white outdoor dining table. And so we used that in conjunction with it. And the chairs are helping to warm up the tones of this table. Before we move out of this space, one of the other things that I want to point out are these conversational areas. So we've created 2 conversational areas here again to promote social interaction and activation. That's why all of the chairs are oriented inwards towards one another. And then you'll see that we balanced out this space with this really cool, again, rope detail, this one running vertical instead of horizontal on the bar stools to help balance out everything. Remember when I said we're inspired by person, place, or things? We'll take a look at this. This was the exact inspiration of this project specifically, is downtown Denver. Now we're in the model unit, and I just cannot wait to show you what we have going on. So here we are in the kitchen, and what I love about this kitchen is the amount of square footage that we're working with. So just based on the materiality and the materials that we selected alone, it actually expands out this space. So you'll notice the 360 circulation around the kitchen, and you'll also notice that we've used an L-shaped here on the back perimeter for those very reasons. Then we combined a beautiful understated quartz countertop with a darker cabinet and simplified hardware. And what I love about the simplified hardware is it creates a statement very subtly. Another secret of the trade, this very contemporary, understated pairing of materials. I love the quartz countertop in conjunction with this simplified tile backsplash. We get the linear effect for the contemporary look, but the sheen gives us a little bit of dimension, and that's what we're going for. So one of my favorite things about this kitchen is the size of the island. Such an important element when we're looking at square footage of this size. This gives plenty of space for prep work, also gives plenty of space for seating, and then we have combined it with this beautiful one basin sink, beautiful faucet, and then of course the pendant lightings, because what would a space be without incredible lighting? So I just mentioned square footage. Take a look at this. Every single ounce of square footage in this model home was used. This is a perfect example. Coming right off your door, a little hospitality station, cubby, custom design for all of those elements that you want to drop right off your doorway and keep moving through the space. Here we are in the living room. One of the things that I love about this living room is that this sofa is creating the entire vibe and tone for the space. We have layered the living room with this incredible paint detail, something that a lot of people don't think about. It's a simplified detail. It's just a change in color, asymmetrical, coming off the right side of the corner, but it's really giving us a sense of dimension and a palette and foundation to layer our artwork, ground our sofa, and have all of that oriented towards the impact wall. So another trick of the trade is we love this idea of high contrast. So you can see here that we have put the decorative pillows on the sofa to create that high interest and high contrast, because that's what gives you the dimension and flavor and drama in any design palette. You'll also notice that we did that with the paint detail. So instead of carrying this beautiful teal color out to the corner of the wall, we actually stopped it short to create that dimension. And it's a very simplified detail. One of my favorite things in looking at furniture design is when we compare different elements together. This table is a perfect example of that. I love the juxtaposition between the wood elements and the metal that we have going on, because again, it's creating interest and drama and pop. And we need that out of every single design element in a space to tell a story. All right, guys, so this is where we get our personality, our fun, our punch. Art walls. I love art walls for that very reason. This is your opportunity for self-expression. All the rules are thrown out the window. On this wall, being our impact wall, we wanted to have a little bit of fun. We wanted it to be playful. And so we've combined this very simplified figurative art with abstract pairing. It gives us color dimension, but it also gives us a way to anchor this space. Okay, one of my other favorite design details are these little drink tables, and this is the perfect example of it. So it's giving us dimension with the layers, and it's also giving us a combination of different types of materiality. This table is a home run simply because of the scale and the interest that it's providing to the space. Okay, we're in the bedroom. I love this bedroom, specifically because all of the different textures. I love the combination of a softer color palette. It's creating a little bit of calmness and serenity, but with the depth and dimension of the colors that we need to give it drama. So you'll notice that we have combined different textures within the pillows, the decorative pillows, and then we have topped it all off with this beautiful velvet throw at the bottom, which really just gives us a sense of dimension and purpose. I love this artwork. I love this artwork because again, it's unexpected and it creates a little bit of that fun, playful, stylish component to any design palette. Another design secret. Love the idea that using a credenza instead of a dresser space, because it adds a lot more interest and again, something that's unexpected. And then really simplifying the detail above the dresser with just a repetition of dimensional art or architectural art. All right, guys, here's a tip that I love to give. We all love large-scale artwork. I love large-scale artwork, but sometimes we don't have it to carry a space. And so you can get that same type of effect just by combining the same pieces over and over again. This is a perfect example. I love textiles, and this drapery is one of them. Look at the colors in this drapery, and also, doesn't it remind you of peacocks? Okay, so also, one of my other favorite tips is don't be afraid to have fun. Decorative pillows are the perfect example. This can get as wild and crazy as you want and still make a statement. Okay, let's go check out the other bedroom. Okay, here we are in the second guest bedroom. Again, you can see that we had a ton of fun with the pillows. I love the different textures. I love the layering of the throw with the duvet. And then we have this incredible paint detail again, right? And so this is that semicircle, very simplified paint detail, and it's creating the layer effect that we need for that completed design look. I'm obsessed with this bed only because the fact that I love these naturalized elements. I think they help a space breathe. I think that they bring a space to life in a very natural, organic way. Every room in the house should have some type of natural element as far as I'm concerned. And we get that here with this bed. We also get that here with the pairing between the marble top and the wood nightstand again, and it creates this beautiful ambiance of balance. All right, guys, bringing it all the way back down to Denver, Colorado. Look at this drapery panel. I, again, love the texture and the pattern that we often find in fabrics, and this one reminds me of aspen trees. Again, one of my absolute favorite things to do with artwork is not only the pairing or the gallery of space, but also the movement that we find in some pieces that I find architecturally interesting. These ones specifically are that beautiful gold metal color, but they allow for movement within the shape itself, which gives us interest. All right, everybody, that was the Alexan Julian, celebrating Denver's rich history throughout the design inspiration, and we can't wait to see you next time on The Reveal.